Thank you, Alexia, for having asked me to contribute to this event actively. I will tell you about fertility goals and focusing on past research conducted together with Wolfgang. And Fabian and Stephany will follow with sharing some input on the future and current research we are conducting on this topic. When I joined the Vienna Institute of Demography, it was late 2001, the institute was a German-speaking institute. The staff was mainly from Austria, and me, myself, as Italian, not speaking one single word of German, I didn't feel very comfortable. But Rita, who was at that time the director of the institute, told me to cheer me up, but it was true. Maria Rita, I can promise you, you will feel better, because under the leadership of Wolfgang Lutz, the institute will become an international institute, I'm pretty sure. And this was true. When Wolfgang came, we started to, it was beginning of 2002, and we started to work together on a topic on family size ideals. It was the time where there were new data from Eurobarometer, where there was a distinction for the first time between general and personal ideal family size. And what we found was that in Austria, both among men and women, and in each age group, the personal ideal family size was below replacement level. A similar pattern was found also in Germany, and it was not confirmed by subsequent data, rounds of Eurobarometer, but the explanation we found for this at that time, for this particular pattern, was that Austria, together with Germany, were the first country where the total fertility rate went down. And this timing in declining fertility was responsible for the below replacement fertility ideals of these two countries, because people would have been already socialized among small families. And the expectation we had for the future was that if this was true, the next countries experiencing a below replacement fertility would have been Greece, Spain, and Italy. So we then come with the fertility trap, with this possible mechanism driving this decline in ideals, and the three forces, hypothetical forces, are the negative demographic momentum, the normalization of smaller family size, and the increasing financial difficulties. Well, we didn't see any sign for this working low fertility trap in terms of ideals in Italy, and the reason for this was that people in Italy, the majority of people love this bigger family, and this is the three-generational family feature in a very popular at that time Italian TV series. But we still have seen some sign for a decline of ideas for the working of this trap. In Greece, these are childless women and men, and between 2006 and 2011 we have seen quite a huge decline in personal ideal family size, especially strong. Well, the decrease was almost 40% in the youngest generation, between 15 and 24. Well, we interpreted this result in a paper together with Stuart Baston with the financial crisis And here you can see that in Greece, people interviewed in 2011, Eurobarometer data again, reported, well, 70% of people reported a worsening of household financial situation experienced in the previous 5 years. And another piece of evidence and the possible mechanism through which the trap can work in the future is uncertainty. We found that between 2006 and 2011, there was an increase in uncertainty in meeting fertility goals. And if this uncertainty is going to stay, it could push down also the ideals, the size, the ideal family size. And again, the third piece, little piece of evidence, if we make around the globe, is that in Hong Kong and Taiwan, we have the most recent data show clearly ideal family size below 2 for the age code 18, well, the age group 18-27 in Hong Kong, the ideal family size went down up to 1.5 children in 2011. And in Taiwan, for the age group 18-24, the ideal family size went down to 1.8, 2003. And now the present, the current interest is on ability to achieve the desired family size. And this is possible today because we have got panel data where at the first way we have the information on short-term fertility intention, and at the second way we can assess the performance of individual in achieving this target. And the interest is on education, and now I will leave the floor to to Fabian for the current research.
So, thank you very much. Of course, it's always cool to stand in front of a slide which says the future, but the overwhelming feeling that I have is that I feel really honored to stand here. For one reason, because all the other people you've seen upstage were very senior scholars, and I'm obviously not. But most of all because it's for this special occasion for Wolfgang, to whom I owe a lot of gratitude for guiding me through my PhD as well. What I'm going to talk about now is the future with the title World Without Theory, how machine learning can help us to navigate. So it's something completely new, out of the box, and I hope that Wolfgang will appreciate it, basically because of that. Well, how machine learning can help us to navigate. Navigate through what? That is the question. And I would like to start with the topic where Rita has left us here, fertility intentions. Well, luckily in the world of fertility intentions, the world is pretty simple. The theory of conjunctural action explains fertility intentions. That's it. Or maybe it's about gender when we talk about fertility intentions. That's very possible too, very likely. Or it is about the institutional determinants that drive fertility intentions. Or maybe it's about social capital. Or it's about the theory of planned behavior. Or it could also be about norms and perceived behavioral controls. Maybe it's preference theory that explains it. Preference theory, that could be the case. Oh, no, it's gender equity again. Oh, yeah, it's definitely gender. Well, you see that, like in many other fields of social science, in fertility intentions, it can get a bit crowded. And those are, I have to say, only the first two sides of Google Scholar, actually, if you look at the headings of the article published. Now, let's look at the discipline which survives or has at least been created without any theory, which is the theory of data science and machine learning. So machine learning comes from a world without any theory, you could say. So it's basically not about finding a theoretical pattern, but just finding patterns, finding clusters in the data. And we are talking about where machine learning comes from, we're talking about huge amounts of data, so millions, if not sometimes billions of observations. And for a very practical reason, people decided not to use parametric and fragmentist models anymore, because it's simply not possible to invert a matrix with 500 million times 500 million. And so they're looking for clusters, they're looking for patterns in the data. And since Wolfgang likes to connect the dots between two areas that are seemingly not working together at first sight, maybe this machine learning from a world without theory can help us in a world which is packed with theory as well. And one way that machine learning works, one example, is building decision trees. Decision trees, that means you make a decision and the thing in the end looks like a tree. And I'll give you a very brief example. Let's think of a two-dimensional parameter space, x and y, and observations within. And for the sake of the argument, let's assume that those little circles and those little triangles represent individuals who said that they do intend to have a child within the next 3 years, and the others said that they do not intend to have a child within the next 3 years. And what the algorithm in machine learning does is that it tries to find along the parameter space the most efficient way to truncate the data, in the sense that the remaining data in those truncated parts is pure, is very uniform, so would only contain individuals that have intentions to have a child and individuals, on the other hand, that do not have the intention to have a child. So one cut could be here at that x value, because now if you look at it, the pattern has become slightly clearer. Before it was more or less, if you would have picked an individual randomly, it would have been a 50-50 chance of picking one or the other. Right now, if you look on the right-hand side, there are 4 triangles and only 3 little circles. So it's more likely to pick a triangle, actually. But you could go on and you could build the tree up and make another decision with the other parameter, where you divide it again and you truncate it at 2 different points. And now you see that the picture is actually pretty clear. If you look at those 4 squares, they're pure in terms of data purity. Only triangles or only circles. And of course, it's kind of boring to do that in a 2-dimensional parameter space. You could do that in a multi-dimensional parameter space. Actually, you could take all the characteristics that Rita has been using in her models, age, your partner's age, your education, your partner's education, religion, also macro-level indicators like the GGP in your nuts region, and run a decision tree model on the GGS1 regarding the outcome of fertility intentions. And this is how a fully fledged tree in this scenario looks like. And for the last slide to conclude, I would like to zoom in a little bit and just give you an appetizer, because this is nothing more than an appetizer, because it still needs to be developed. We could look at this part of the tree. And we start with more than 22,000 observations from the GGS1. And we see the genie here is the measure of data purity, and it tells us it's 0.36 or 0.37 roughly. What does that mean? That means, roughly, but thank you, that if you pick somebody randomly from the sample, as you can see by the values down here below, it's rather likely that you pick somebody with no intention to have a child within the next 3 years, because the group of individuals that intend to have a child is slightly smaller. So it's not 50-50 actually. But we could make a decision, and the algorithm tells us that the most efficient first truncation of this data would be to separate those that have less than 2 or 2 and more children actually. And if you look at those having 2 or more children, you end at the next knot. And interestingly, if you look at the measure of data purity here, it has dramatically increased. So the purity has increased, the measure has gone down to 0.17. And if you look at the distribution here of intenders and non-intenders, you see that the picture has indeed actually become much clearer. And you could of course go on and you ask yourself, okay, so algorithm, tell me, what is the next most efficient way to truncate this data? And it tells you, well, you should separate those that come from Hungary and those people that do not come from Hungary. And if you continue with those that are not from Hungary, the story goes on and it tells you, okay, so now the most efficient truncation method is by GDP purchasing power per capita in this nuts region. And if you then go on, you end up at an end knot, and it's called end knot because actually none of all the other remaining characteristics that you have used in your algorithm can give you any further clarity about the data. And interestingly, if you look at this knot, it's almost pure actually. I mean, the sample size has reduced and that needs to be fine-tuned, but you're looking at slightly more than 3,000 individuals, of which all of them, almost all of them, have no intention or have reported no intention to have a child within the next 3 years. And to go back to the title, of course, there's no world without theory, but I think that those new techniques like machine learning and decision trees might be a very interesting approach to help us navigate through a field which is very packed with theory as well. Thank you.